You're trying to embrace technology. You're trying to bring AI into your team, into your workflow. And then you notice the little things your team members are doing it without double checking it. You got the M dashes, you got the emojis, the bolding of the headings. And you're thinking to yourself, hey, I thought I was the manager that was totally fine with using AI, and now my team members are taking advantage. And it starts to make you really frustrated, right? Are we all facing this right now? I know me, when I bring on a freelancer and I can see that they've moved everything into AI, like without double checking it, copying and pasting it directly, without doing any of the common sense things, I'm thinking, well, it would have just been easier to do it myself, right? And that's what we're facing every day as a manager. So if this is what you're dealing with, you are not alone. And that is what we're going to talk about today. I'm Lia Garvin, and this is the new Manager Playbook, where we dive into how to navigate all the ins and outs of the workplace. And right now, one of the biggest challenges and things we're facing is how to deal with AI. How to understand it, how to use it thoughtfully, how to embrace it, how to not replace people with it, all the things. And this is one of the things that comes up is, are my team members using it a little bit too much? Are they getting a little bit too comfortable, right? You say, hey, can you put together this slide presentation based on, the thing that we want to present to the stakeholders? And they're like, oh yeah. And they have it done in 20 minutes. And they're like, well, I'm ready. Now I'm going to take off. Or now I can take something else on, right? So there's a lot of stuff that starts to surface. And I want to talk about two sort of questions that I've been answering a lot with the clients that I work with. And I've been doing a lot of hands-on work with teams on really how to think about AI thoughtfully. So if this is something that you're wrestling with, send me an email, hello@liagarvin.com, because my new workshops and keynote around how to really embrace AI thoughtfully is going to really help set the foundation. And so I want to talk about two areas that's coming up. One is, how to actually put some constraints on it. Because I know for myself, when I am given something by a team member or a freelancer or whoever, and it's obviously complete AI, I feel like, what am I paying this person for? And I think that's what a lot of us are wrestling with. And the immediate reaction is to feel frustrated, maybe a little bit taken advantage of. And I want to just name that because it's not a bad thing if you're feeling frustrated. I think we're all getting used to it. I think team members, they're thinking, well, gosh, there's tools that are going to make my job a little bit easier so that I can maybe manage my tasks better. Maybe I don't have to be so stressed about this thing that I was really dreading, like doing research. I didn't really know how to go about it and get started. So we don't want to automatically assume someone's like, screw this, I'm just going to use AI and like go to sleep. No, right? But I'm sharing that because it is a natural reaction to feel like, whoa, wait a second. Am I okay with this? And when we have that reaction, we don't want to just say, okay, no more AI, get rid of it. We're not doing this. That's an opportunity to, drum roll please, set expectations. Whenever something feels out of alignment with our teams, we've got to set expectations. That's what we do. Missed expectations equals reset expectations. Whether it's utilizing AI, whether it's missing deadlines, coming in at 9:15 for the 9 a.m. meeting, whatever it is. And that little discomfort you're feeling, that is a signal of misaligned expectations. It's not necessarily a signal that your person doesn't care or the person's a wrong fit or they're taking advantage. No. First is expectations. We don't actually know the answer to those snowball questions. And a lot of times when leaders come to me and they say, gosh, I think I've made a bad hire. I don't know what to do. This person's not cutting it. I say it, and I know you've heard on the show. I ask, well, what were the expectations? And the person sits there like, I thought it should be obvious. I'm paying them. They should do this. And I'm like, okay, slow down. Let's set the expectations. And then if they say, okay, well, I had really clear expectations, then let's say we had answered that way. I ask, okay, well, what feedback's been shared? And then I get the same silence of, well, I've said this. No. If we haven't set expectations and we haven't given feedback, then it's not really okay for us to jump to these conclusions because we don't really know. And so some of the assumptions I think we're making around team members really utilizing AI for every single thing that they can think of is that I'm going to call it, maybe you think they're lazy, maybe you think they don't care, that they're slacking, that they're cutting corners, that they're trying to free up extra time to not have to work, right? Whatever you're snowballing, I'm just naming it so that you see, it's out there. We don't want to jump to that conclusion until we first set expectations, right? So whatever that looks like for you, okay? You might set expectations around, hey, if you write content in AI, that's great to use for first draft. Then, the expectation is you read through it, You humanize it. You bring in your tone or our brand voice. You remove the M dashes, the emojis, the formatting. That's the giveaways that it's AI, whatever it is. That if you are utilizing for, maybe to collect information from multiple teams, that you're still putting together some synthesis and you're bringing your context to it, right? Because that's not always things that some of the stuff that's missing, that you're double checking the accuracy, right? They call it, I think, AI hallucinations. A lot of things that comes out of AI as the answer has incorrect sources and citations, has information that's not in the article that it's citing. This is the reality of utilizing AI at the stage right now. It is not a copy and paste. And I think especially folks that are just getting used to it, maybe folks that haven't, been in the workforce a long time where they realize, or written papers or whatever in school where you have to double check sources, that we do not want to just copy and paste because it doesn't necessarily come from that source. You want to click in to the article, read it, find the thing that you're pulling. Okay, yes, it is, or that was in the document. So whatever parameters, those are the expectations that you set. I have folks a lot of times ask me about, for a marketing perspective, writing emails or copy, you want to still read it. It's not a copy and paste. And when you set that expectation, now you've planted that, anchor. Now, if the person does it again, that's where you give the feedback. They do it a few times. You're saying, hey, wait, is this negligent? You overlooked it, or you're not getting it, or the task is too challenging for you, or whatever it is. Now you figure out how to go from there. So that's what I think can really help us anchor to, like, how do I put the lid back on this thing that I'm okay with them using, but it's getting a little bit too much. The second thing, I know you're thinking it, calling it out on today's episode. If you're thinking, well, what happens if they've been able to automate a good part of their job? Let's say your team members are able to automate about 5 hours a week. Let's say they're saving about 5 hours a week, right? So that's 20% of their job. Does that mean they get to go home 5 hours earlier if they're in person, sign off 5 hours more? What happens with that time? This is really, really can be subjective. It can be contentious. I think there's a world in which a team member thinks, okay, well, if I can just do my job faster, why would I be penalized if I take on more? As a boss, as a leader, as a manager, as a business owner, whatever you are, you're thinking, well, if they got 5 hours back, we should be able to do more stuff with that time. This is a balance. My opinion, because of how fast things need to go, because automation is here and we have to stay on the cutting edge, that when we are able to do our job faster, it's not a punishment to take on more. It's that we are optimizing ourselves so that we can actually have a larger scope so that we remain irreplaceable by robots. I'm not saying we burn people out. I'm not saying we stretch them to all ends where they're having to work. No, it's saying what was a reasonable workload without some of these optimizations? What's a reasonable workload now? There's a lot of industries that, in businesses and in companies where, you may have to check emails, at night before a big project launch. Or I work with events companies, marketing companies, PR companies all the time. Those are things where, hey, when there's something going on, folks are signing off at kind of odd hours. The idea is that time is compensated. The idea is that the time balances out. Maybe you get like a Friday off because you worked a late night or whatever it looks like. But I want to be really clear that I think it's okay as a leader to say, hey, let's look at what we've been able to optimize utilizing AI and utilizing some of these tools and automations. Okay, we're saving about 5 hours a week. Well, wow, like with that time, what can we be doing with this? How can a team member be building a skill, getting more strategic, taking on a project so that you don't have to hire that freelancer or, additional workforce if that's something that you wouldn't have had to do? You know what I'm saying? And so this is not about replacing people with automation. It's about saying, hey, when we have streamlined ourselves and we've given our team members opportunities, that it's not like the whole work week gets shorter, right? We have to think about, what does that mean? And so then it sort of asks us to kind of rethink how we're paying people. And this is a question that comes up a lot with the business owners that I work with. How do I know how to pay someone, right? There's a lot of pay transparency, right? That's a great place to start, right? We can see what the market rate for these jobs are. How do I know how long something should take? Well, that's an expectation setting. It's asking someone potentially, hey, map this out the first few times. Let's see, does that feel reasonable? Is that how long someone in a similar role in the past has taken to do this? Is it twice as fast? Well, is there steps missing, or do they really have a better process? Okay, well, if it's twice as fast, then maybe that job, the complexity's been reduced and we can't add something else. So you see, it's not a one size fits all, but it is a question that's going to come up. And I just want you to be ready. I want you to have a point of view. that as things are getting done faster, if that's the case, I think that's really the idea of why we're utilizing tools, right? Optimizing our workflow, making things easier, removing tedious steps. That's the goal. We've done that. What are you doing to optimize? Like, how are you helping that human person continue to thrive, continue to grow? Because someone just cranking out more, email copy scripts through a chat tool, that's not really the answer, right? So if someone has removed a tedious part of their work, the idea is that frees them up to do something more thoughtful, more strategic, a little bit more future thinking, whatever it looks like. And that's going to look different for every single one of you, right? That's why the workshop I'm doing is really getting hands-on with, okay, what are we automating? What are we keeping? How do we utilize our folks the right way? How do we still grow? How do we really strengthen our leadership skills? These are the questions that are coming up. It's not a replace, it is a rethinking. And we've had to rethink work over and over and over. That part's not new. When COVID hit, we had to rethink, not every industry, right? But we had to, in general, rethink, well, what makes sense to be done in person via versus hybrid versus remote? We saw way more distributed teams than ever. Our whole relationship with time shifted. Even if folks went into the office the whole time through COVID, there was like minimal disruption in their day to day. Well, the whole world was facing this. We all formed a very different relationship with time. Folks, formed a different relationship with work. Right? There was just this whole new thing because we kind of had a new relationship with mortality. All these things cause us to think about work very differently. So that's not new, but as a leader, it's on you to have a point of view, to think about, well, how are you best serving your team? How are you best thinking about a few steps ahead? And how are you utilizing your team in the right way? So this is something that's going to be coming up. Team members getting real excited about using AI, maybe sort of overdoing it. And those are the questions to think through. How do I set expectations around it? And how do I figure out what to do with this maybe freed up time or bandwidth so that we're really continuing to reinvest in our people and not feeling like, well, someone is not using AI because they don't want to, like they're wanting to do it tedious because they don't want to take on extra work if they do it. Like, no. You've got to have a point of view. This requires talking to your team members and really getting to know them, right? And that's where if you need support and you're kind of like, I don't even know how to start, that's where you call me because we can figure that out together. It's going to look different for every company, but the ideas are the same. We have to be thinking about it big picture, forming that point of view, setting expectations, and then revisiting them. Because things are moving fast, things are changing really quickly, and it's going to be a bit of an adjustment to get that stride, and that's okay. That's how we show resilience and we show thoughtfulness as a leader. All right. Need help? You know who to call. hello@liagarvin.com. I guess that's to write. Shoot me an email, hello@liagarvin.com. And I am here. We've got this. It is a lot, but we've got this. You are not alone at figuring this out. See you next time.